G'day, and welcome back to another episode of the Wing It Podcast.
Welcome back.
Another week,
Another
another great episode.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, another dollar. Speaking of dollar, great segue, Cam. I love that.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to our sponsor,
Yes.
who has brought you this beautiful episode of the Wing It Podcast, which is Bet with Joel
Yep.
and Brown Bats.
Of course. Our
So-
inaugural sponsor.
They're the OG sponsor. We want to thank Brown Bats for getting us up off the ground. Because obviously, when you're starting a podcast, just like starting a car, the hardest part is the start. When you get rolling with a bit of momentum, all the other ones jump on, don't they?
Is that what happens when you drive a dodgy Forester like yourself?
No, I don't drive a Dodgy Forester. I drive a high performance vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, so another episode. Make sure to check us out on Instagram.
At Winger Podcast.
Check us out on TikTok.
At Winger Podcast.
Check this out on YouTube as
We
well.
are hot on YouTube at the moment. We're going 3 uploads a week, just to let you know. So if you want to see our pretty faces along with our pretty voices, that is the spot. So
Yep.
don't hesitate.
No, don't hesitate.
At Winger
whatsoever.
Podcast too, by the way.
And also listen to us on Spotify,
At Winger Podcast.
which we will now be doing 2 uploads a week. Very exciting.
We're back.
There will also be 3 uploads this week. So we're going absolutely off at the moment, working overtime just for you guys. So you have all the entertainment, especially when the sport's starting to die down with the bye rounds at the moment.
The worst 4-5 weeks of the year.
Oh, no, we got
Well, we're about
finals.
to be bad after that. Straight
After that, though, we will be sort of treading water for a while.
This is true. All right.
But anyway, getting into it, this week in the AFL, been a pretty exciting week, hasn't it, Cam?
It was a very exciting week. We saw a lot of big boys fall, didn't we?
We did. We thought it would be a pretty straightforward week.
We did.
With a lot of floggings and a lot of one-sided affairs.
Which there was,
There was, but not quite as many as we thought there would be.
especially from the big dogs. I mean, let's get straight into the big dogs. Melbourne, big dog number 1, and Carlton, as we have behind us, Carlton, big dog and number 2.
Yep.
Both falling down, both in different fashion as well.
Yeah, very, very different fashions. between the
Carlton, we
two.
could say, was a little bit justified, I suppose. Collingwood are a tough team to beat at the G. They're up and about a little bit, and you lose your most important player in Wiedering. Well, let's stay on that topic then. Let's
Yeah.
stay on Carlton right now. Wiedering down.
Yep.
I called them not miss a top 8, and I receded my statement last week after they beat the 2 Sydney teams. But that's the worst possible thing that could happen to that team, is it not?
They've got no key defenders or key position players whatsoever. You'll probably see like a Jack Silvani go back, or maybe a De Koning go back as well, and maybe replicate what his brother's doing in Geelong. But players like Liam Jones, obviously at the start of the year, leaving due to the vaccination standpoint.
It's hurting him now.
Mitch McGovern is pushing for a finals comeback, and now obviously Jacob Wiedering as well down. So they've really got no tall rocks in the back line.
Just height in general.
And losing probably the best one-on-one defender in the AFL is just going to be a huge blow to any team.
100%. And we've always said this about Carlton as well, with their defence specifically. They've got the best attacking defence in the AFL, and then probably the worst defensive defence in the AFL in terms of personnel. I mean, it works the way they've been doing. They're playing great football, take nothing away from it. But Docs, Williams, these Newmans, Sards, you name it, all these defenders, quote unquote, they're attacking defenders.
Yep.
You cannot ask one of them to actually play a key position role to save their lives.
No, not at all. And it's really going to become a massive problem over the next few weeks for Carlton. And as we said before as well, with the AC joint recovery, it looks more like 8 weeks.
They've called it 6.
Which is very optimistic.
They are very optimistic.
From what I've heard from the Carlton internals, I won't really trust any of the timelines they put on any of their injuries.
No.
And this one is no different. So
And let's say it is 6 weeks. Let's just, for argument's sake, say 6 weeks. We're in week 12, round 12 right now. So let's say he targets around 18, 19 comeback. He's not coming back then. There's no point. They would rest him for another couple of weeks. He'll be back week 1 of finals or the last round of the season. You can pretty much lock that in.
yeah, exactly right. There's no point playing. Probably come back for that Demons game would be a really good game. The second to last game of the season.
Yeah, that checks
Warming
out.
up for finals, that sort of finals atmosphere footy. So I think that would be a good idea.
The earliest we'll see him, and that is potentially, that's top. I'll call it now. That's top 4 done.
Yeah.
They probably still have enough wins for top 8.
Yeah.
But boy, that top 4's done. They're going to be 7th now.
But in very similar fashion, the Demons losing to Fremantle Dockers. You did call it on the podcast.
I did. A good hot wing there.
Yeah, very good hot wing. Very good call there. We lost Stephen May early. Unfortunately, I believe he's gone into concussion protocols.
I believe so, yep.
And then we also lost Harry Petty for a moment in the game. who now has just been cleared for scans.
Yeah.
So he is all good. But we just had no backline for a majority of the game. And Stephen May is really our backline coach, if you will. He's so pivotal back there for us. So that was huge in the loss to Freo.
Oh, it's a bit of deja vu. Well, not deja vu, but very similar to Carlton.
Yeah.
We both figured out who your most important player is.
Yeah.
You lose Stephen May. I mean, I'd say Mace Gawn's your most important player. But boy, oh boy, Stephen May is, if he's not number one, he's number two. That shows how pivotal he is, that defense.
Yeah.
As soon as he fell down, and I think Freo's game plan was good enough to win the game anyway.
I agree, yeah.
But from what we saw, the second May went down, they had another good second quarter. I won't lie. But then that defense looked woeful.
Yeah, we were in shambles after that, and rightly so. We had Jaden Hunt as a key defender
and they got a relatively quick, tall forward line that from Fremantle too, and that's why Lob had a great game.
He did, and they play essentially 5 small forwards, which is exactly the opposite of our strength to play against. We're the tall, intercepting team that likes the ball in the air and likes when teams are bombing it long. But if you're bombing it in for chaos balls, it's really going to hinder us. So onto that, I truly think that Freo are the team that is built to beat Melbourne.
Well, they're the only one.
They are.
Yep.
I think Brisbane is one of the best teams in competition, but I don't think they're well versed in terms of personnel to beat the Demons.
I completely agree. Yep.
But what Freo has proven they won the ruck battle. The only team who's done that this season against the Demons, and potentially the only team that will do that this season against the Demons. And then they were fantastic in the midfield, sort of negated the strength of our midfield. And as we said, in their forward line, they were unbelievable. They put Griffin Logue on Stephen May, which was a masterstroke.
I wish that played out for the entire game, because I still think it was a masterstroke coaching decision regardless.
Yeah, he's kicked 3 goals in his career. Hasn't kicked one, I don't think, since the 3rd game of his career.
Wow.
And putting him straight up forward, playing full forward on Stephen May. So
I wish I saw it play out.
It was a great idea. And I think the way they played us was fantastic, and they're very deserving of the win.
100%. Now, let's just go in a quick little deep dive into Fremantle. They have won some amazing games. Yep. They've been some really strong teams. They've lost to some shitty teams.
Yep.
What is Fremantle right now? I still can't figure it out, but they're a top 4 side.
Yeah. I think you summed it up with what you said there. They've lost to some shitty teams, and they've beaten some really, really good teams in games they probably shouldn't have won. And they only won by 1 point to Adelaide, and just games like this, like in Gold Coast as well, dropped that game, and just games you really should be dropping. I think that sort of shows a team that's underperformed for years and is now coming good, and they're finally putting the pieces together. A little bit like the Demons last year. We lost to GWS, who barely made the finals. We lost to the Crows. Just teams like that we shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you're going to lose those games, and your focus might be off, but when you're on in the big games, that really shows who you are.
100%. Now, move on to the next topic. Let's talk about their crosstown rivals, and that's the West Coast Eagles.
Yep.
They're dropping games left, right, and centre. They're dropping everything. Name it, they've dropped it. What can they hold?
Yeah.
A loss?
They can't hold a best 22. That's
their percentage went up this week. They lost by 50, 60 points. Dare I say, they conceded 21 goals.
Points.
Oh, sorry, that was a week before. Yeah. Regardless, their percentage is going up with these losses. That is terrifying.
Yeah, it's woeful for a team that was in 3 grand finals ago. They won.
Yeah, wow, when you put
which
it like that,
is scary to think. Yeah. So it's just almost unfathomable that West Coast have fallen so far in such a short period of time, and I don't think we've ever seen a fall like this.
No, and this is a team that got better. Yep. They spent the money and the draft capital on someone like a Tim Kelly.
Yep.
They still thought this team's we got another couple of years of this, boys.
Well, this is their window. This is the premiership window they had planned for.
Well, when you win a flag, you want to say you've got a few years extra, don't you? I mean, isn't that's I would think so.
Yeah.
I think about Port in 2004. We were in a grand final again in 2007. You still got a good 3-4 years of a window whenever you win a flag.
Yeah, definitely.
Now this team's a genuine bona fide wooden spooners.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying. But thankfully at the Winger Podcast.
Oh, thankfully.
Thankfully to the Winger Podcast. Simo, give us a buzz. Your biggest fan to my left of me, Dogger, is here. We're going to propose a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
Just to get you out the rut.
We're here to be the general manager because it looks like no one's running the show at West Coast right now.
No, they're shambles. Would you like to start off, or should I start off? What would you prefer, Dogger?
Yeah, I'll fire away with mine. So I'm pretty pretty passionate about this one, to be honest.
You love the Eagles.
I do. I actually love sitting back and watching the Eagles fail week in, week out, sort of just tearing themselves apart slowly. The media tearing them apart every week. It's music to my ears. I think this year is more satisfying for me seeing the Eagles lose than last year with the Demons winning so much.
God.
But no, I think the number one first thing they should be doing straight away is trading Jeremy McGovern.
Yeah.
Trade him away to a contender, a team that needs a backman, which are probably 50% of the 50% of the top 8.
Everyone needs a Jeremy McGovern.
Everyone needs Jeremy McGovern. He would make any team better. The only team he wouldn't make better, the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, and this is true.
He provides no value for them in the next 4 years.
Whatsoever.
I think he's one of the most influential players in the AFL. But you can't be influential in a team that no one's buying into, has no midfield depth, is literally on the edge of just
hell,
falling into despair for years.
Hell.
I would love to see Jeremy McGovern. This is quite unreasonable and probably never going to happen. But I would like to see him in a Western Bulldogs outfit.
Oh.
In exchange for Jamara Ugle-Hagan.
Oh,
I think
very
it
outlandish.
works perfectly. It's a win-win for both teams, whether draft picks are involved or whatever they put in. I don't care.
You think West Coast will be throwing something up, but regardless.
They probably would have to, yeah. Jamara Ugle-Hagan has no spot in this Bulldogs team, and it's been proven time and time again. Obviously, until maybe in 4 years' time, he might have a spot.
He's unnecessary.
But their premiership window's right now. Josh Bruce is going to come back. He'll have even less of a spot then. And I think Jamara Ugle-Hagan is a genuine talent. I'm super high on him still.
Oh, he's got talent.
And I think he would be a perfect Josh Kennedy replacement.
100%.
I would love to see that. Direct swap, straight in there. And Jamara Ugle-Hagan would prosper out west massively. And Jeremy McGovern would be...
Could you imagine him in that Bulldogs defense?
Oh, he would be game-changing. He would honestly win them a premiership.
Alex Keith can go straight to a lockdown defender. McGovern does all the picking off, the distribution.
Yep.
That changes that team completely.
They literally...
That wins the flag.
They win a flag if Jeremy McGovern
Yep.
goes there, because he provides that back depth that they've never had, really.
And just leadership.
Yeah, exactly right. And winning mentality.
Yeah.
He knows how to win. He's won before. And it sort of simulates what the Demons have done. He can be that Jake Lever roll-off intercept marker, whilst Alex Keith is that Stephen May lockdown defender. And then they've got like the Tim English, who's the mobile ruck, and the great midfield, and we know how good their forward line can be as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think Jeremy McGovern to the Western Bulldogs, win-win. I would love to see it. Jamara Ugle-Hagan out west.
I love it. And what a partnership for West Coast to have for the next 10 years, him and Oscar Allen.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
exciting is that?
Twin Towers.
That's
just replacing Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy.
The most two athletic key forwards probably in the AFL.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. All right, I'm going to chuck up one. And one's a player they only picked up within the last, what was it now, 3 seasons ago, maybe? Yeah. 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons. That's Tim Kelly. I mean, he's 28 next month. I'm thinking now, he's not in a premiership window. This team's 10 years away from a flag.
Yeah.
Let's call it 8. Let's call it 8 to 10 years away from a flag. So he's not going to be in the next premiership window. Let's move on a guy who we can get some currency for right now. In the prime of his career, at 20, not just about to be 28, so he's still got 4 years of solid football left. I'll put him on the market. Yeah. Let's see what Fremantle across the road says with a aging Mundy. Could you imagine a midfield of Mundy, Fife, Sarong and Brayshaw? That's exciting for 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
He plays exactly like Mundy, to be fair. A silky smooth, it's just a nice 20 touches a night, kicks a goal here or there. I think he wants to stay in WA. That's a no-brainer. And I think Fremantle, who wanted him in the first time when this Kelly sweepstakes was on, they wouldn't say no this time. Yep. And then you'd probably get him for a first-round pick this time.
Yep.
And in West Coast's case, that's a win.
You'd get him for 50 cents on the dollar.
Yep, 100% you would. He cost 2 the first time. It cost you 1 first-round pick this time. Maybe a first and a fourth. Whatever.
Yep.
First and a third. Don't care.
Whatever it takes to get it done.
Done. That's a win-win. Freo don't need draft picks right now.
No.
West Coast do. Win-win for everyone.
Yeah. Seems like all of these trades are win-wins. And one I've got, which it leads on from your point as well, with the midfielders. They've just got to go. Their midfield is too one-dimensional.
Yep.
All of them are not gaining anything from being this team. Like your Andrew Gaffs, your Reddens, your Shueys, who can't really play at the moment.
Can't play 5 minutes.
They're just not they're getting nothing out of this. They're not winning. They're meant to be in this premiership window, and now they're just clogging up the spots for the youth that should be bled into that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they should do. I don't necessarily have a plan for what they would do with the midfielders or get back for them, because I don't think they have much value in today's market.
I don't think one of them does. That's the issue.
No, not at all. But it's more about getting that youth in, getting your Liam Duggins in the midfield, your Petruccelli's in the midfield as well.
Yeah, Petrescu-Seaton's. Give it a bash.
Petrescu-Seaton. What's going to happen? You're going to lose by 120 points? Like
You're going to lose Jack Redden there by 120 anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. And getting like Campbell Chesser in and some young midfielders from the
Aaron
draft.
Black from the VFL, from the Waffle. Just get him in. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And the Greg Clarks of the world. Getting these young midfielders in, and I think just developing them for the next few years, you're going to get a lot more out of that than trying to be a win now mode when you just don't have the win now talent.
No, and that's scary for West Coast because that midfield of age runs so deep.
Yeah.
You think of Shuey, you think of Red, and then we forget about players like Elliot Yeo,
Oh,
who's still.
true,
We
yeah.
forgot about him completely. This is a former All-Australian. It runs so deep.
Well,
It's a world of hurt.
Their youngest midfielder is Tim Kelly, who's 27?
Yeah, and Sheed, I think Sheed's younger, but who knows about Sheed
Yeah.
anymore? But oh boy, that is Nick Nui for forgetting about that. It's
true,
all a mess.
yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's not talk about West Coast anymore. My last comment is if they can do anything, it's whatever it takes. I don't care how much it is. I don't care how many draft picks. I don't care about anything. If you can get Luke Jackson into this team,
Get him.
he's a WA boy.
Yeah.
Just throw the whole entire kitchen sink at him.
Give Demons every midfielder,
Whatever you've got.
every draft pick, doesn't matter.
Don't care.
Once
Don't
in a
care.
generational player.
Get him in and attract him home.
But also, West Coast, please don't throw anything at him.
No.
We don't want to get rid of
But
him.
that's it. Apart from that, we're in a world of hurt. All right. That was really... If Simo should listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're actually going to get a call tomorrow morning, and it's going to be probably a job offer.
And I'm free, by the way, Simo,
Yeah.
if you're listening. I am
I'm happy
free.
to move to Perth. I love Perth.
I'll answer your phone call.
Big fan of it.
But before we get
I'm
on
happy
with...
to take the job out there.
Yeah, me too. Before we get on with any more, let's take a quick ad break from our partner, Bet with Joel. All right, welcome back to the Wing It Podcast. We're going to introduce a new segment that's going to be a staple piece in every episode from here on out. And it's called Don't Argue. Ring the bells. There we go. That will be it. Plugged in somewhere rather. Anyway, we're going to come up with a polarizing topic. It's going to be a topic where Dog is going to take one side, I'm going to take the other. We're going to take swings at each other and see who wins. You let us know in the comments who you think won our Don't Argue topic each week.
And let us know your opinion below as well.
Of course, 100%. Now, this week's Don't Argue topic is who's closer to an AFL flag? Is it out of the two expansion clubs, is it GWS Giants or is it the Gold Coast Suns? Who do I have? I've got the Giants.
And I got the Suns.
You got the Suns. We did this by a coin flip. So
Yeah.
there is no premeditated, opinions here. This is a complete coin flip about 30 seconds ago.
And the thing that makes this so great as well, I truly believe that both of us could argue either side of this. That's how close it is and how... It's strange how close they are together, but we'll get into that a little bit now. So you can kick it off, Cam, with GWS.
I'll kick off with GWS. Should we go 1 point each or should we just go,
No, just go yours.
go all of it out at once? Yeah. All right, just double checking. All right, so obviously going with the Giants. And straight off the bat, one thing they have over Gold Coast that Gold Coast just do not have is the top-end talent. GWS top-end talent's probably top 5 in the AFL, if we want to really argue it. In terms of defenders, in terms of midfielders especially, it's a top 5 list. And then you throw in someone like a Toby Green, who is probably the most impactful player in the AFL on his day. No one else has that. So I talk about they have finals experience. This team has historically underachieved, but they continue to make finals, and they have for the last 5 years now. I think they've made 3 prelims, dare I say, made a grand final on top of that as well. Got blown out in some of those prelims and blown out in the grand final, obviously. But they've got experience.
Yeah.
And and the main thing about that is this team isn't 35 years old with experience. This is a team with Whitfield, Kelly's, Greens, all around 27, 28 years old. So they're just hitting prime time right now. They've still got 4 years of great football left. And they've still got youth like Tim Taranto's at 24. This team is nowhere near done yet. They've been so close so many times that we're just getting a bit of voters fatigue. We're getting a bit of like, oh yeah, it's GWS again. But they are still good enough to win games and win a flag. This year's been terrible. I will not concede anything there. They've been shocking. But some new blood, a new coach, who knows what they can instill with a new side. Hey, they might get Clarko for God's sake. They're in the box seat apparently. So who knows with a team that's nowhere near aging. Callum Ward's their only old star, so I'm not really fussed about if he goes or whatever. Who cares? They've got all their stars for another 4 years, fresh coach, experienced team, and top-end talent coming through their nose. They can win a flag in the next 4 or 5 years, no worries.
You are great at dribbling shit. There is no way. There is no way the GWS Giants are closer to a flag than the Gold Coast Suns right now.
Ooh.
Don't even have a coach at the moment. Doesn't that speak for itself? Anyway, more into the Gold Coast Suns. Every single year with the Suns over the last few years, they've had different players step up and different players be the star role model for this team. So this year, it's been Noah Anderson, in my opinion. Noah Anderson's taken a huge leap this year. He's into the leadership group, and apparently he's one of the biggest leaders around the club and is a future captain by all accounts, which is massive. Last year, you had Touk Miller step up, who was unbelievable. Years before that, you've had your Charlie Ballards, you've had your Jack Bowes.
Winger podcast.
You've had your Will Powers.
Oh, Winger podcast.
And also, you had your Sam Collins, who's one of the best lockdown defenders in the AFL and has proven it time in, time out, and doesn't get any of the recognition whatsoever. Also, you've got Ben King up forward, who kicked 50 goals last season. He was absolutely massive, and he's proving to be one of the best young forwards in the competition right now. And again, does not get the credit. And the problem with the Suns has always been players don't want to play there. Players don't want to go there. But now they're getting more and more long-term contracts and players extending. Like you look at Touk Miller, extension. Ben King, extension. Sam Collins. They're building something up there at the Gold Coast Suns, building a real culture. And by all accounts from our friend Will Power,
big fan.
They're building something to the future, and they're looking at finals footy. They're not just wanting to get 4, 5, 6 wins a season. They're wanting to push and be a competitive team again in the competition. And I think they easily have the talent for that. And with Ben King coming back next season, with a great ruckman in place, which GWS don't even have either. They're just scraping the free agents list at the moment. It's the waiver wire ruckman. They've got Jared Witts, who's a captain of the club, and he's a great leader, leads from the front, really hard at the ball, and really talented ruckman, to be honest. They're really just setting the example for what an expansion team could do. And also, they got the backing of the AFL. The AFL are going to pump every dollar they've got into making the Gold Coast Suns better to try and break into that Queensland market more and more, which they have been doing of late. And I think next year, whoever the coach is, whether it's Clarko potentially, or whether it's Stewie Dew, I think this team will make the finals next year and therefore are closer to a flag.
Wow. I've also never heard someone speak about B- players like they're A+ players more in my life. And we talk about Jared Witts for more than 90 seconds. That sums it up.
Witts is a gun.
Braden Pruce is probably a better player already. All right. Interesting. All right. Good answer. Good. I got a rebuttal for that. I think let's leave the rebuttal to the listeners at home, to you at home. Let us know on Instagram, YouTube, or wherever you are listening. What do you reckon? Who's closer to a flag?
Let us know.
You've gone with the Suns. They're 10 years away, mate.
Gotta go the Suns.
All right, great stuff. Let's move on to our favourite segment. It always hits. It's the hot wing.
The hot wings.
Well, Cam's on fire. After picking up Fremantle at $4.70, might I add, to beat Melbourne last week. I'm going to go with a couple more roughies again this week. Now, these roughies are nowhere near as juicy as last week. I'll just let you know. But I'm going to call it the Fortress of Fools. The Falling Fortresses. Let's call it that. Two teams that are very hard to beat at their respective home grounds. Bulldogs at Marvel has been one of the toughest games of the last 5 years. And Freo and Freo. They haven't been a powerhouse, but they're very hard to beat in WA anytime. They're both favourites at their home grounds, but I'm going to take them to both lose. I think the Cats go to Marvel and they polish off Bulldogs. I am not scared of Bulldogs one bit, and the Cats are they are hitting their straps at the right time. They are looking good, and they're going to show how good they are to the rest of the competition on Friday night football. Then I'm going to take the Lions. They are still the best team in the AFL, not named Melbourne. Let's not forget about that. Just because Freo beat Melbourne last week, let's just sell our stocks a little bit. They're going to go back home. They lost to Collingwood at home last week. It's not really 2 weeks ago. I'm not worried about their home ground advantage. And I think Brisbane absolutely demolish Fremantle. I'm talking like a 35-point win for the Lions. So I'll take both those teams. Both pay $2.20. Nice juicy mould if you put them together. It'd be about $4. Like it. So that's my Falling Fortresses hot wing.
Don't mind that at all. I think the Lions this week as well. I'm a really big fan of that.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be hard to beat for the rest of the season, and whether it's in Perth or whether it's in Brisbane, it doesn't really matter too much. Home ground advantage it's shown it's not really a thing anymore, in my opinion.
And it is so hard to back up a big win like that. For Fremantle, that was like a season-defining win. You are sky high. To try and back that up is so tough.
Yeah. And as you would say, they played the grand final last week.
Yep. And I'm not saying they're a bad team. A week off wouldn't shock me.
No. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me either. I think great hot wing there and cheeky multi there wouldn't go Australia, would it?
Pretty good. 450, that's great.
Yeah, not too bad whatsoever.
All right, what's yours, Dogger?
For 2 top 4 teams to win.
Yeah, I'm not going crazy here, am I?
No, exactly right. My hot wing for this week is Tim Taranto. He's gone.
He's gone.
Good as gone.
End of the
Burn
season,
the Guernsey. Everything gone. Out of GWS. You won't see Tim Taranto in a GWS Guernsey outside of this season.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Woo!
I can confirm it here on the Wing It podcast. Tim Taranto is moving to a Melbourne club. I cannot discuss what Melbourne club it is because I have strong ties to them, but he is gone. Tim Taranto would be a fantastic pickup for anyone, by the way. Just saying.
24-year-old.
Just saying, he was a Demons fan growing up. Something in that. That's pretty big. That's
That's not all the evidence. But
no. So GWS, they have more midfielders than probably any team ever assembled.
Yeah.
They have to have.
Yeah.
So they've got a midfield of Stephen Cornelio, Tim Taranto, obviously, Jacob Hopper, and then you're looking at players that don't even play midfield anymore. Like Toby Green doesn't play midfield. Perriman came as midfield, doesn't play midfield. Lockie Ash is sitting on the half-back line.
Yep.
So many players. There's a genuine midfield overflow, as I would look at it. And then obviously you got your Josh Kellys, who are like the staple piece of the midfield at GWS. And Taranto just doesn't seem to fit into that. He's been playing a lot of forward the last couple of years. This year he's sort of playing as a lead-up forward for a lot of it. He's obviously fallen out of favour with the coaching staff, and obviously this year hasn't played under the new coach either. It's just randomly got an injury as soon as the new coach came in. So a little bit worrying with that. I'm not too sure what's going on there. Don't have any intel on that one. But a bit of a midfield overflow. And the other thing that's overflowing at GWS, which was bound to happen at some point, is the cap.
Woo!
They've got no more cap space. I don't know how they've done it already, actually.
Stuffed.
It's quite amazing how they've managed to squeeze everyone into this, especially with the amount they're playing some of the players that aren't even playing at the moment. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Phil Davis is on an absolutely huge contract. And like your Jesse Hogans, your Toby Greens, rightly so, great players, but they're just overpaying everyone. And there's just going to be no room for Tim Taranto to get the money he needs or the role he needs.
Or deserves.
No, exactly right. He's one of the best midfielders in the competition. He could be like a Josh Dunkley-esque player that can go forward, be a great contributor on the scoreboard, but also play a lot of midfield time and be a great tackler, be awesome in the midfield, in and under. And he's just a very, very skillful player. So for him, if I was him, I would want more money and I would want more opportunity. And he's not going to get that at GWS.
Nope.
So he is on the move. Watch out for it. Look at your Essendons. Look at your Collingwoods. Look at your Melbourne Demons. You never know. He is on the move next season. Heard it here first on the Wing It podcast. Tim Taranto will find a new team next season.
I like that. That Josh Dunkley comparison's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's exactly the type of role he should be playing.
It is,
and he
yeah.
should be paying how Dunkley's being paid too.
He literally was sitting in the forward line for the first 4 rounds of the season, doing absolutely nothing. He was playing really well.
He was playing
but
great.
There was no role for him.
No.
He was just playing so well because of his talent without the role.
But he shouldn't be pushed out in that position in the first place, should he?
No way.
All right, great episode. That is another episode of the Wing It podcast, AFL edition. Before we wrap this one up, just to let you know, NBA Finals preview will be uploaded and produced at the exact same time. So once you listen to this, switch over to the other episode of our NBA Finals preview. It's a huge ep between Boston and Golden State, obviously.
Massive.
So, wrap it up, Doggo.
Yep. Make sure to follow us on Instagram.
At Wing It Podcast.
Make sure to follow us on Spotify.
At Wing It Podcast.
Also, leave a rating as well on Spotify.
Yes, love that.
5-star review would be fantastic if you haven't enjoyed the episode.
Yep.
And make sure to look at us on YouTube.
At Wing It Podcast.
Yep.
Give us a like, subscribe, comment, rating, whatever it is.
Yep.
You know the ones.
Exactly right. So, thank you very much.
Good night.
Great.
Nailed that. That's one of our best apps.